we're going to read from the middle of the book where the abbess has discovered their budding romance. And...
I just want to reiterate that Maya didn't know me. When she wrote this, if she had, the entire scene would probably have consisted of, "I'm sorry that's never happened before."
And damn it, I lost my page.
Okay. Wait.
You weren't listening to a word I said, were you? She asked sternly.
Huh? This dinner is delicious.
Looks like I'm leaving without you then, she muttered, if you won't even pay attention to me when I'm right in front of you.
Fine. I wasn't paying attention. Tell me again, Philip said, and then quickly added, please. The man could be taught.
I was just saying that I am not taking my vows.
Oh, because of me?
She sighed impatiently as if she were trying to talk to the village idiot. He didn't know why he had even asked that, because he certainly didn't want to know. If he was the reason, he thought there might be more responsibility than he could manage to endure. Like I said, Angela continued, I realize that this is not the life for me. I am leaving when you do, either with you or without you. Don't you see?
Yes, he did see. Very clearly. This was the part where he was to drop down onto one knee and ask her to marry him. And the funny thing was, that didn't seem so terrifying or horrible. The thought that did ruin his appetite was after the wedding, when he had no home to take her to, and no money to even buy her dinner, let alone the gowns and jewels that she deserved. Society wouldn't welcome either of them, so she would be stuck with him, and only him, without even friends to complain to about what a horrible husband he was. Angela, he started, I have no money. I suspect you don't either. I have a house, but I've never been to it. In fact, I don't think anyone has been there in years, if the thing is still even standing. Furthermore, society will not be kind to either of us.
Because I'm ruined, she muttered, looking downcast.
No, because you'll be attached to me. But that doesn't matter, because I simply cannot get married now. I can't even support myself, let alone a wife and the children.
But I could still go with you. We'll find a way to make things work.
No, but not because I don't want you to. I was quite nearly sick at the thought of not seeing you once I'd gone. But I'll manage, and you will too, he said. It was the right thing to do, he was sure of it, but he didn't necessarily like it.
Maybe I'm tired of just managing. I've been doing that for years.
It'll just be more managing with me. Managing to get by. Managing not to be completely disappointed in me. Managing not to completely regret choosing me over God.
Did you ever think that maybe I don't care about all that so long as I am with you? Angela cried.
From the look on her face, Philip could have sworn she hadn't meant to say that. Or maybe, even, he couldn't believe it. He didn't even have a title to offer her now, just himself, and that really wasn't much. No, I didn't, he said softly.
Well, think about it, she snapped in that brandy-like voice of hers.
Oh, he would miss that voice. Almost as much as he might miss other things about her. Later, he replied, he would certainly miss kissing her.
Later, next week, next month, in 10 years' time.
Just not now.
And then he stood up a bit to lean over across the table over their dinner and pressed his mouth to hers. There were so many things in the way, the table, the plates, the glasses, that it was not the most convenient position for kissing. But the need to kiss her at that moment was so urgent and overwhelming, the obstacles between them be damned.
He coaxed her into a deeper kiss, running his tongue along the seam of her lips so that she parted, letting him in. She sighed a bit, perhaps in vexation, pleasure, or surrender. He knew not. He treasured it all the same.
You think if you just kiss me, you'll make me forget everything else, she murmured.
If I'm doing it right.
Philip rested his palms on either side of the table to support himself, still leaning over, still reaching out to her in the only way he knew how. When you stop kissing me, I start thinking again.
I guess I'll have to keep kissing you then.
He leaned in for another kiss, this one all too brief. Only until you leave. Without me, she said. Philip sat back down, abandoning that strategy for ending the conversation in favor of another.
I'm too tired to talk about that anymore tonight, he said. That was true. He was just too tired to have a conversation about how inadequate he was, how unsuitable he was for marriage, and how he couldn't make her happy and couldn't make her see that. And he knew he had to make her see that now, before it was too late, and he was miserable for making her miserable.
I'll go then, she said.
Stay. he said firmly, flashing that suggestive grin of his. I'm not too tired for other things.
You should know, Philip, that the abbess said that if I am carrying a child, she will personally march you down the aisle at gunpoint if necessary.
I don't doubt that.
So perhaps I ought to go then. To make her point, Angela stood up and stepped to the side of the table. He stood as well.
No, he said, smiling wickedly. There are other things to do, or there are ways to prevent conception.
There are? That of all things caught her attention and made her pause.
Some more reliable than others.
Such as? She demanded.
You're awfully curious about this.
Well, no one's ever told me. No one tells young women anything they might actually need to know, she said angrily.
You shouldn't need to know this kind of thing.
I might.
I'll take care of it.
And if I'm not with you? Angela asked with an eyebrow arched in challenge.
Who the hell are you going to be with? He quite nearly yelled. He swore his heart had stopped for a moment.
I don't know, she replied with a little shrug of her shoulders, but you seem intent that I shouldn't be with you, and I will be leaving here. I might meet someone else.
He hadn't even considered Angela with another man after him. Thus far, he hadn't had to. He most certainly didn't want to. Oh no, he said firmly. If you're going to be with any man, it will be me.
So I'm going to be with you, am I? But I won't become pregnant, so you won't have to marry me.
Well, he couldn't think of anything to say that wouldn't result in something thrown at his head.
You just want to have your cake and eat it too, don't you? She said angrily, stomping her foot for emphasis.
What I really want is to kiss you. Best to distract her, he thought, closing the distance between them and placing his hand on her waist.
The gentleman tries to be charming, she retorted, folding her arms across her chest.
The gentleman is just a man who wants to kiss you while he still has the chance.
He kissed the soft spot of skin just below her earlobe. You aren't a gentleman. I take it back. You are an absolute scoundrel.
One who still wants to kiss you.
The words were a bit muffled, as he was now feathering kisses along her neck. You will, if you can tell me why I'll let you, in spite of my better judgment.
Because you want to, Philip murmured, pressing his lips to the hollow of her throat. She arched her neck back to allow him. Because you think I'm a better man than I am, he whispered into her ear. His heart stopped again, because that was the truth of the matter, in one sentence. He wasn't good enough, and certainly wasn't as good as she thought he was. But he wanted to be. He just didn't know how. And because you want to, he whispered again.
Just one kiss, Angela sighed.
If it were going to be just one kiss, it would be just one kiss of epic proportions. Philip was not going to stop at her mouth, not when there was more of her to taste and to touch with his own mouth. Until she said no, until she said stop, he was going to be good in the only way he knew how, by being wicked and sinful and pleasing all the same so that there would never be another man for her that could compare to him.